From colossal concrete walls slicing through riverbeds to giant arches reaching for the sky, human genius has raised structures that tame the elements and forever change the face of the planet. Before you are the 15 most grandiose dams in the world, where the power of water becomes the energy of civilization, and the scale of the engineering solutions staggers the imagination. The crowning achievement of human engineering genius is the Three Gorges Dam on the Yangtze River, the largest hydraulic structure on Earth. Its story began long before the first concrete was poured. The dream of taming the Yangtze appeared as early as the beginning of the 20th century, when Chinese engineers were only starting to discuss the possibility of controlling the great river's unpredictable floods. This dream took on real shape in the 1950s, when Mao Zedong announced the intention to build the greatest dam in the world. But only decades later, in 1992, did the project receive official government approval, and just 2 years later, in 1994, construction began, one of the most large-scale projects in the history of humankind. The creation of the Three Gorges Dam became a true epic. To clear the way for the giant reservoir, more than 1 million people were resettled, and hundreds of villages and dozens of historical monuments ended up underwater. The work proceeded in 3 stages, from the erection of temporary cofferdams to the installation of colossal turbines, each weighing hundreds of tons. The structure stretches to a length of more than 2.3 kilometers, with a height of about 185 meters, and more than 27 million cubic meters of concrete were required for its construction. To grasp the scale, that amount would be enough to lay a path 3 meters wide around the entire Earth, 4 times in a row. The plant's total capacity is more than 22,000 megawatts, generated by 34 giant turbines. Each year, it produces about 100 billion kilowatt hours of energy, which makes it the largest hydroelectric power station on the planet. The project's cost exceeded $28 billion, but its true price is much higher. The dam permanently altered the Yangtze ecosystem, flooded rare biotopes, disrupted fish migration, and changed the region's climatic conditions. Nevertheless, for China, the Three Gorges became a symbol of ambition, strength, and technological superiority. It is a project that divided opinions, but forever entered history as proof that humans are capable of subduing one of the greatest rivers on Earth. And perhaps, looking at these giant concrete walls, one can understand. Sometimes real miracles are created not by nature, but by the human being who dared to imitate it. In the south of harsh Siberia, where mountains cut the sky and the Yenisei River carves its way among the rocks, rises one of the most powerful hydraulic structures on the planet, the Sayano-Shushenskaya hydroelectric power plant. This legendary dam, regarded as the 9th largest in the world, became not merely a source of energy, but a symbol of Russia's technical might. Construction began in 1968, when the Soviet Union needed energy for Siberia's growing industrial giants. Already 10 years later, in 1978, the dam was completed. 6.5 million cubic meters of concrete were used in its construction, and the cost was estimated at roughly $5 billion. Colossal money for that time. The station has a capacity of 6,400 megawatts and is equipped with 10 turbines, each of which can power an entire large city. Electricity from the Sayano-Shushenskaya HPP today ensures the operation of factories, plants, residential districts, and infrastructure across the south of Siberia. The initiator of construction was Nikita Khrushchev, a leader who saw in hydropower a path to independence and technological superiority for the USSR. In the Cold War era, every megawatt of capacity mattered, not only economically, but politically. This dam became part of national pride. Its silhouette even graced a Russian banknote, reminding of a time when the country was literally building its future on concrete and steel. And though today its fate has not been without difficulties, with accidents, repairs, and modernization, the Sayano-Shushenskaya HPP remains a monument to human will and engineering audacity, rising above the Yenisei like a stone giant restraining the elements. If you have dreamed of seeing the wild wonders of the Amazon, rare birds, majestic jaguars, and boundless tropical forests, you should definitely look to Brazil. But amid all this natural splendor hides one of the planet's most grandiose engineering creations, the Tucuruí Dam, erected on the Tocantins River in the state of Pará. This giant hydroelectric plant ranks fourth in the world by capacity, and its construction history goes back to the 1970s. Work started in 1975 and was completed by 1984. The main goal was clear: to harness the mighty waters of the Amazon system to supply electricity to the rapidly developing cities and industry of the country. Today, Tucuruí is capable of delivering 8,300 megawatts, which makes it one of Brazil's key power suppliers. To create the giant concrete wall, 20 million cubic meters of concrete were required, a colossal volume that itself reflects the scale of the engineering feat. However, the fate of this project was not cloudless. The dam brought not only energy, but controversy. During construction, vast lands ended up underwater, and with them, villages, traditions, and the lives of thousands of people. The resettlement of local communities destroyed the accustomed way of life, depriving people of their native places and ancient rituals. In fact, a whole part of the region's cultural heritage went away with the water, and yet Tucuruí remains a powerful symbol of progress and human will. Its reservoir became a new world, with new ecosystems, new species of fish and birds, and even a new tourist destination. Thus, nature and humans, albeit not without pain, found here a new form of coexistence. On the border between Brazil and Paraguay, amid dense tropical forests, flows the mighty Paraná River, an artery feeding the life of an entire region. It is here that one of humanity's most astonishing engineering wonders stretches, the Itaipu Dam, striking in its scale, power, and history. Once, indigenous peoples lived here, fishing for centuries in the Paraná's clear waters. Later came explorers, missionaries, and then builders to erect what would change the region's face forever. The idea of constructing a dam appeared back in the 1960s, when the two countries decided to unite efforts for a common future. Construction began in 1975, and already 9 years later, in 1984, the project was completed. This arch-gravity dam amazes with its dimensions: a height of more than 190 meters, a length of more than 7.5 kilometers. Itaipu became the joint offspring of two states, a manifestation of international partnership. An agreement signed between Brazilian President Emílio Garrastazu Medici and Paraguayan leader Alfredo Stroessner stipulated that both countries would share not only expenses, but benefits. And the expenses were not small, about $19.5 billion, but the result turned out to be grand. The plant's capacity is more than 14,000 megawatts, and the annual generation is about 90,000 gigawatt hours. 20 turbines operate at the dam, and every day it produces so much energy that it would be enough to light an entire planet for 2 days. 12 million cubic meters of concrete were used during construction, and the reservoir, known as Lake Itaipu, stretched over more than 800 square kilometers, flooding valleys, forests, and entire villages. Despite the large-scale consequences, the resettlement of thousands of families, the loss of natural territories, and the disappearance of some animal species, Itaipu became a pride of the region. Today, ecotourism is developing around it. Nature reserves and biodiversity conservation centers are being created. The Itaipu Dam is not just a source of energy. It is a living illustration of how two peoples were able to join efforts for one great endeavor, turning a turbulent river into a symbol of strength, progress, and cooperation. We return to the harsh expanses of Siberia, where cold winds carry the scent of conifers and metal, and the Angara River glitters under the sun like a liquid mirror. It is here, amid endless spaces, that the Bratsk hydroelectric power plant stands, one of the most recognizable symbols of Soviet engineering and the 11th largest dam in the world. Its construction began in 1954 and was completed 10 years later, in 1964. It was a time when the Soviet Union strove for technological leadership, and the Bratsk HPP became its pride, an embodiment of faith that humans can subdue the elements. The dam rises to a height of more than 120 meters and stretches along the river for 4 kilometers, a colossal structure impossible to take in at a glance. 4.5 million cubic meters of concrete were used in its construction, and today it still impresses with its monumentality. The Bratsk HPP plays a key role in supplying electricity to all of eastern Siberia. Its power feeds aluminum plants, timber processing complexes, mines, and entire cities. Without it, life in this region would be impossible, for it is precisely the plant that provides energy, warmth, and industrial development. Thanks to the station, new cities have grown in Siberia, thousands of jobs have appeared, and people's standard of living has significantly improved. But, like many grand projects of the 20th century, the Bratsk HPP altered the natural balance. The creation of the reservoir affected the Angara's flow, caused changes in the ecosystem, and required special programs to protect fish stocks. Nevertheless, the Bratsk HPP is not just a dam. It is a whole era frozen in concrete. It reminds us of a time when engineering was a dream, and every turbine, a symbol of a future in which millions believed. Now we move to Turkey, to lands once called the cradle of civilization. Here, on the Euphrates River, stands the Atatürk Dam, one of the largest hydraulic structures in the Middle East and a pride of Turkish engineering. The Euphrates has nourished Mesopotamia since ancient times, the territory where the first cities, writing, and culture arose. It was here, at the end of the 20th century, that Turkey decided to erect a structure that would not only tame the river, but also give a powerful impulse to the development of an entire region. Construction began in 1983 and continued for almost 10 years, until 1992. The dam has a height of more than 165 meters and a length of more than 6 kilometers, and 27 million cubic meters of concrete were used for its construction. This colossal amount of material made it one of the largest concrete structures on the planet. The project became part of the large-scale development program of southeastern Turkey, launched under the inspiration of the ideas of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the founder of the modern Turkish Republic. It was conceived as a key to the region's energy independence and stable agriculture. The dam's hydroelectric station generates about 2,500 megawatts of energy, operating on 8 powerful turbines. Electricity from the Atatürk HPP powers millions of homes, factories, and enterprises across the country, helping Turkey reduce its dependence on coal and oil. But the dam's significance is not limited to energy. It supplies water to vast agricultural areas, turning arid lands into fertile valleys. However, this progress had a price. Thousands of people were resettled, and ancient settlements and archaeological monuments ended up underwater. Despite this, Turkey regards the Atatürk Dam not just as an engineering facility, but as a symbol of its national renaissance, a bridge between history and the future, where water and concrete unite in the service of life. The next giant awaits us in China. On the Hongshui River, in the picturesque Guangxi province, rises the Longtan Dam, one of the most powerful hydraulic structures on the planet. It ranks third in the world by installed capacity and was built in record time, only 8 years, from 2001 to 2009. The project combined several goals at once: flood control, water supply, irrigation of fields, and of course, power generation. Longtan's total capacity is 22,500 megawatts, and inside the dam, 9 giant turbines work ceaselessly to provide energy to China's southern provinces. More than 11 million cubic meters of concrete were used for its construction, and the project's total cost is estimated at about $8.9 billion, an enormous sum even for China. The Longtan Dam became an important part of the country's strategy to transition to renewable energy sources and reduce dependence on coal. It provides light for millions of homes, feeds industrial centers, and helps develop the region's economy. But along with the technical triumph came trials. The creation of the reservoir flooded vast lands, caused the resettlement of entire villages, and changed ecosystems. One way or another, Longtan became a symbol of the modern China. Powerful, determined, yet still seeking a balance between progress and nature. Welcome to the heart of ancient Egypt, to the majestic Nile, the river that gave life to an entire civilization. Here, amid desert expanses, rises one of the most impressive structures of the 20th century, the Aswan High Dam, a symbol of the modern power of the land of the pharaohs. Its construction began in 1960 and was completed exactly 10 years later. The goal was grand: to rein in the Nile's eternal floods, provide Egypt with irrigation water, regulate runoff, and of course, generate electricity. The dam stretched for 4 kilometers. Its height reaches 110 meters, and its base width is almost 1 kilometer. It is one of the most large-scale structures in the world, both in volume and in significance. The Aswan HPP has an installed capacity of more than 11,000 megawatts, operating on 12 giant turbines that supply a significant part of the country with power. But its significance goes far beyond the realm of power generation. The dam changed the very face of Egypt, turned deserts into fertile lands, gave farmers the opportunity to harvest year-round, and provided the country with a stable source of water. 43 million cubic meters of concrete were used for its construction, and the project's cost amounted to about $1 billion. By the standards of the time, a truly astronomical figure. Financing came from various sources, from the Egyptian budget and international loans to revenues obtained after the nationalization of the Suez Canal. The project's initiator was President Gamal Abdel Nasser, for whom the dam became a matter of national pride. It symbolized a new era of independence and strength, when Egypt decided its own destiny. Today, the dam still plays a huge role. It protects the country from floods, waters the fields, lights the cities, and gives life to millions of Egyptians. But, as with any grand intervention in nature, the project altered the Nile's ecosystem, affected fisheries and sedimentation processes. Nevertheless, the Aswan Dam remains one of humanity's greatest engineering victories, and a majestic reminder of how an ancient river gave way to modernity. Now let us cross the ocean, to snowy Canada, where amid the harsh expanses of northern Quebec, the Robert-Bourassa hydroelectric station, formerly known as La Grande 2, shines with power. This giant dam, part of the famous James Bay project, is one of the most impressive in North America. Its construction began in 1974 and was completed by 1981. The project pursued an ambitious goal: to harness the energy of Quebec's northern rivers and turn it into the basis for the region's economic growth. Today, the station has an installed capacity of 16,000 megawatts and includes 16 powerful turbines. This is a true energy behemoth that supplies light and warmth to millions of Canadians. 8.5 million cubic meters of concrete were used in construction, enabling the creation of a structure strong enough to withstand the pressure of the powerful La Grande River. The project cost about 13.5 billion Canadian dollars, but these investments fully paid off. The station provides stable energy for homes, schools, hospitals, industrial enterprises, and mines. The Robert-Bourassa HPP is not just infrastructure. It is the heart of Quebec's energy system, a symbol of independence and clean energy. The project was implemented at the initiative of the provincial government, led by Premier Robert-Bourassa, whose name the station bears. This grand step toward renewable energy became for Canada an example of how technological progress, ecology, and national pride can be united in one powerful engineering embodiment. Now we head to the very heart of Africa, to where the mighty Zambezi River cuts across the continent, forming a boundary between two countries. Here stands the Kariba Dam, a giant that brought Zimbabwe and Zambia together with a common goal: to tame the river and turn its force into energy. Construction began in 1955 and was completed in only 4 years, by 1959. The length of the dam is almost 600 meters, Its height is more than 120, and the base width is about 23 meters. This arch structure can withstand the colossal pressure of the Zambezi's waters. Kariba's capacity is 1,620 megawatts, which provides electricity to millions of people and to both countries on either side of the dam. The project cost $126 million, a sum colossal for the middle of the 20th century. Financing was carried out with the support of the World Bank, the British government, and the administrations of what were then Northern and Southern Rhodesia. But behind this miracle of engineering stood tragedy as well. During construction, hundreds of local residents were forced to leave their homes, and vast territories ended up underwater. Nevertheless, the dam brought development to the regions, new roads, access to electricity, and economic growth. Today, Kariba is not just a hydro hub, but an entire water world. Its reservoir has become the largest artificial lake in Africa, where tourism, fishing, and even water sports thrive. Here, at the intersection of two countries, nature and humans have found a common rhythm, where water, strength, and life interweave into one. Venezuela is a country with enchanting landscapes, rich culture, and generous nature. Here, waterfalls roar, including the legendary Angel, the highest on Earth, and full-flowing rivers carry their waters through jungles and savannas. But among all the natural wonders stands out a creation of human hands, the Guri hydroelectric power plant, officially bearing the name of Simón Bolívar. The giant dam rises on the Caroni River and is considered the fourth largest in the world by installed capacity. Its construction lasted more than 2 decades, from 1963 to 1986. The goal was ambitious: to provide Venezuela's rapidly growing cities with stable energy and to turn the river's turbulent flow into a source of power and prosperity. Today, Guri can produce more than 10,000 megawatts of electricity and supplies about 70% of the country's entire demand. In fact, it is the heart of Venezuela's energy system, from which cities, factories, and millions of homes are powered. Hidden in the depths of the dam is a giant machine hall where 20 turbine generators labor. Together, they create a capacity comparable to the energy of a small state. To raise this concrete marvel, 14 million cubic meters of concrete were required, a figure that makes the head spin. The resulting reservoir spread over an area of more than 4,000 square kilometers, and although many call it just a dam, this place astounds with beauty. The landscapes around take your breath away, water reflecting the sky and green hills fading into the distance. People boat here, fish here, and tourists come from all over the world to see how humans managed to tame one of South America's most powerful rivers. We move on, now to the United States of America. In the expanses of the state of Washington, on the Columbia River, rises the legendary Grand Coulee Dam, a symbol of the Great Depression era and an engineering monument to human resilience. Its construction began in 1933 as part of a federal project to develop the Columbia Basin. Its initiator was none other than Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a president who believed that large infrastructure projects could not only provide light and water, but also restore people's faith in the future. The goal was to transform the west of the country, to give farmers irrigation water, industry, energy, and people jobs. And Roosevelt was right. Today, Grand Coulee is the largest hydroelectric power station in the USA and the 5th in the world by capacity. Its potential is 6,800 megawatts, and the giant machine hall houses 33 turbine generators. 12 million cubic meters of concrete were used during construction, enough to build an entire city. This concrete mass withstands the tremendous pressure of the river, turning turbulent flows into energy that powers millions of homes across the American Northwest. Grand Coulee is not just a dam. It is a living legend, a reminder of a time when America, exhausted by crisis, stood up again. It is called the Stone Heart of the Columbia. And looking at it, you understand, engineering can be no less inspiring than art. Now we return to China, to a land where rivers cut through mountains and engineering designs sometimes compete with nature itself. In the southwest of the country, on the Jinsha River, rises the Xiluodu Dam, one of the most powerful hydrostructures in the history of humankind. This arched concrete wall is a true marvel of technology. It is more than 285 meters high and about 700 meters long, and its construction began in 2003 and was completed exactly 10 years later, in 2013. The project became part of a state program to create a cascade of HPPs on the Jinsha River. Its goal is to supply millions of China's residents with energy and reduce the use of fossil fuels. The total construction cost amounted to about $27 billion, and financing was fully provided by the Chinese government. The dam's capacity boggles the mind: 13,800 megawatts, generated by 18 giant turbines. This is electricity that powers the provinces of Guangxi and Guangdong, industry, and the megacities of southern China. Nearly 13 million cubic meters of concrete were used for the dam's erection. However, behind this grand success, there is a high price. Vast territories were flooded, thousands of people resettled, and natural ecosystems altered forever. Nevertheless, Xiluodu became a symbol of China's new energy era. Its determination to move toward clean energy sources and technological superiority. This structure shows that progress is always a compromise in which humanity seeks a balance between dream and consequences. We move to South Asia, to the great Indus River, where in the heart of Pakistan rises the Tarbela Dam, one of the most large-scale earth-fill structures on Earth. It is rightfully considered the second largest dam in the world by installed capacity and is a true masterpiece of engineering thought. Construction began in 1968 and lasted 8 years. By 1976, the giant wall was ready. Its height reaches almost 150 meters, and its length is 9 kilometers. Such a sight truly takes your breath away. The project's main goal is to use the Indus's might to solve 3 key tasks: the supply of electricity, flood control, and irrigation of vast agricultural lands. Tarbela can produce 4,800 megawatts using 14 turbines, each of which delivers from 175 to 487 megawatts. 12 million cubic meters of concrete were used to erect the giant complex, and the project cost exceeded more than $1.5 billion. This dam became the heart of Pakistan's energy system, powering its industry, farms, and cities. Thanks to it, millions of hectares of land received water, and the country took a huge step toward food independence. The project was financed by international organizations, including the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank, which underscores its significance not only for Pakistan, but for the entire region. Tarbela is an example of how engineering can change the destinies of entire peoples, uniting the power of nature and the human mind. Without leaving Russia, we move a bit farther north, to where winter lasts half the year and the taiga seems endless. Here, on that same Yenisei, rises another giant, the Krasnoyarsk hydroelectric power plant, one of Siberia's main sources of energy. Its construction began in 1956 and was completed in 1972. This project became a symbol of Soviet industrialization and faith in the power of engineering thought. The HPP generates 6,000 megawatts of energy using 12 turbines, and in its time became a true marvel of technology. 5.7 million cubic meters of concrete were required for its construction, and the total cost amounted to about $1.5 billion. Huge investments for that era. This dam not only lit up Siberia, but gave life to new cities, plants, and enterprises, becoming a pillar of the region's industry. However, such grand projects always have a flip side. The construction of the Krasnoyarsk HPP altered the river's ecosystem. Vast tracts of land ended up underwater, channels shifted, and some fish species disappeared. Even today, the station requires constant monitoring, and the fight against sediments and the aging of equipment demands millions of dollars in annual investments. Nevertheless, the Krasnoyarsk HPP is an engineering wonder that has withstood time. It still astonishes with its scale and power, reflecting an era when the country dreamed of a grand future and was not afraid to challenge nature itself. These grandiose dams are the embodiment of human strength, intellect, and the aspiration to conquer the elements. They changed rivers, countries, and the destinies of millions of people, becoming symbols of progress and the greatness of engineering thought. But like water itself, they remind us, any power requires balance. And as long as rivers continue their run, humans will seek new ways to direct their energy in the name of the future.